Listeners and viewers, please welcome the host of my guest at this time, Jose Gonzalez.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of My Guest at This Time. Jose Gonzalez here for the second week in a row. I told you it's a busy October. I mean, we go from one pay-per-view to the next pay-per-view. AEW WrestleDream is this Saturday on pay-per-view. Crazy that we are just going through every show, it seems like, in every company. And who better to have with me than two amazing personnel that have been on damn near every wrestling site, various different shows themselves. Up first, you see her every week on Wrestling Inc. You see her at SE Scoops. You see her at WrestleZone. You also see her doing recaps for AEW Dynamite and Monday Night Raw for Instant Culture. Where she finds time to breathe, I don't know. It's Ella J.
Hello, how are you? I'm so good to be back with your seeing your friendly faces. I know I've seen Jose, but I haven't seen Emily since SummerSlam. So hello.
I know. Hello, since our very lucrative adventure of TopGolf.
Yes.
Yeah, it seems to be quite the topic these days. But before we even allude to anything Topgolf related, I mean, this woman is everywhere. You've seen her with SportsKeeda. You've seen her with WrestlingNewsCo. You've seen her with New Japan Pro Wrestling, with Reality of Wrestling. If there's a show to be broadcast, chances are she's behind the microphone. Emily May, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. I've recovered from bad blood. There's so much blood.
Yes.
But, no, we're good. Thanks for having me. I'm excited we got this crew back together.
I know. For those that don't know, the three of us actually roomed together for SummerSlam this year, so it was a fun experience. First time actually getting to hang out with Emily. Of course, the Topgolf game that was all the rage that neither Kimmy Sokol nor Sean Ross Sapp won. There is a video for that. I will link it down below in the description. Don't think I won't.
I loved your episode of you breaking it down and saying, this is what happened with the video evidence. That is like so true to what I would do as well. Like, you have journalistic integrity.
You know, I had to dust off the BA for something. I'm glad it could be for something so serious as a game of Angry Birds golf. You know, it's what we're here for. But actually what we are here for is AEW WrestleDream this Saturday, which is kind of crazy that all in and all out happened in like the blink of an eye. We're already in like the last quarter of 2024, which is already flown by. Like, what a year it's been for wrestling everywhere. And of course, we also have AEW's big new TV deal coming up with Warner Brothers, making their Max debut for Dynamite and Collision. We might see some cheaper pay-per-view prices too. I'm excited to see that. But in the meantime, I mean, there's no better price for anything than free. So what do you say we start things with the 0 hour? We have some Ring of Honor representation on this show, which has been missing the last few pay-per-views, whether it's by design or by coincidence. But your current television champion, Atlantis Jr., you've seen him in CMLL, defeated Kyle Fletcher for the title a few months ago, challenging the Machine Brian Cage. You know what, Ella, let's start with you on this one. What are you thinking?
I think there's two Ring of Honor, at least as of now. Stuff could be added. I think there's two Ring of Honor titles on the line.
Yes.
At WrestleDream, I think, spoiler alert, both of them are going to change hands. Brian Cage has been a 6-man tag champ before. I don't think he's had singles gold in Ring of Honor, and honestly, I think if any title change is going to happen, it's not going to take place on ROH TV, like weekly TV. It's going to happen at a pay-per-view. So if it's going to happen, why not at WrestleDream?
I mean, that is a pretty bold prediction considering the TV champion hasn't been on TV. But I mean, what Ring of Honor champions that are, you know, a male have been on Ring of Honor TV? You know, to that, I say out to Emily May, your thoughts on this TV title match we have to kick off the 0 hour.
I'm a little nervous about these sound effects.
Oh,
I
yeah,
feel like
he is a
soundboard. You're going to
alert.
buzz us off if you don't agree with us.
No. I only have a celebratory sounds besides the shade button.
Okay. So it's kind of tricky because I know if you listen to the media call that happened earlier, there was discussion about where ROH was kind of in the mix on kind of streaming and where it would be, you know, shown, right? Especially with these new media deals. And so to Ella's point about having this match on the pay-per-view, it gives the ability, well, it's on 0 hour. It gives the ability for the ROH talent to get out there.
Yeah.
Your champions need to be out there. I don't know if you should change titles when your audience might not obviously have not seen them very often. So
They have seen Brian Cage very often.
they have
He's been
seen
on
Brian
AEW,
Cage,
so
but is that like justified to like change titles?
Yeah, that is a good point. The only thing that I can think of that could be part of it was, I mean, we did see over the summer where Willow Nightingale won the CMLL Women's World Championship. So maybe as a favor to CMLL, they just said, hey, you can take one of our championships. And they decided, okay, what's the title that we don't really have too many implications around? Let's go to Ring of Honor. Let's go with the TV title. It's a safe championship to have defended. It'll be a good match. And then kind of here we are now. We haven't really seen much of Atlantis Jr. at all this
not since he
reign,
beat Kyle.
which is crazy because he didn't
yeah.
even beat Kyle on a Ring of Honor function. It was
Yeah.
at CMLL.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's really interesting, like all these cross promotions and kind of cross organizations, like where is it okay to defend it, right? Like, you know, we saw Willow obviously take it all over, and Mercedes as well. So it's interesting to see kind of the inner workings of everything. But I don't know, Ella, I'm going to disagree with you. I don't think they can have a title change yet,
Okay.
but I could be absolutely wrong.
I mean, I'm a cynicist at this point for Ring of Honor. Bless everybody's heart that's still keeping up with it every Thursday. I've tried my best. It's gotten to the point where there's really not much redeemable outside the women's division, which has been a godsend considering the fact that Ring of Honor historically was never known for having an actual division, maybe one-offs here and there, and when they had Women of Honor for a little while. But I don't know. I'm going to say probably and new Brian Cage, just so we have someone in-house that could actually make those appearances, assuming they're going to get booked to make those appearances is another thing, but definitely some of that'll be at least be on some form of TV with the championship to get people hopefully tuning in to Honor Club, but it remains to be seen ultimately. So yeah, kind of a toss-up we have for the 0 hour, but I mean, on the main card, we might have a bit more of a definitive prediction, one that I might not be very happy to make myself. I mean, the other Ring of Honor championship match we have in here is going to be that World Championship match. Mark Briscoe won the title back at Supercard of Honor in April, defending against Learning Trees. The Ocho, Chris Jericho.
He's now the Nueve.
Not yet, but I mean, Ella, since you want to talk about El Nueve, you can go first.
I am 99.9999% confident Chris Jericho is taking this championship off of Mark Briscoe. This is the match I am the most confident in heading into it. Chris Jericho's already had a run as Ring of Honor World Champion. He's gonna be a 2-time champ. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, it is also crazy to think that he held that championship before Ring of Honor was even back on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And by TV, I mean Honor Club streaming. But I mean, now we have a weekly product that should have some representation, but for whatever reason doesn't, because Mark Briscoe's been running rampant on every other program under the AEW umbrella, aside from Ring of Honor. So, I mean, if we're going to keep things going that way with the men's championship, I sadly would agree that Chris Jericho is probably going to be the one to take this one home and become the 9-time world champion. And who knows what the hell is going to come with this. If the Learning Tree promos lately have been anything, it's going to be a watch. That is for certain. What you make of that watch, I will leave that open to interpretation. Emily, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I actually kind of agree that I think it will change hands. I think Chris Jericho is going to take that championship home. I think that also we're talking a lot about like ROH kind of on AEW programming and not just Thursdays. And I think Chris Jericho can focus on that and would be the person to do that in the right way. So I think it actually would be a really good kind of switch to have him focus on that, especially with kind of the other people he's kind of looping in and stuff like that. I think it will kind of elevate the ROH brand a little bit and kind of bring it more integrated into AEW television weekly. Because I feel like it's sometimes an afterthought. And so now hopefully Jericho can kind of help bring it in a fluid way.
Brian
Yeah.
Keith has also been on Ring of Honor television. Like that's how what was it? Final Battle last year. He's been on Ring of Honor television before, so I think they'll follow him if he does go to Ring of Honor, or they could again. Jericho defended the title on AEW before during his first reign.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see, regardless of who wins, what the implications are going to be for Ring of Honor TV moving forward, just because we most recently just had, I think, Mark's either first or second defense of the title on Ring of Honor TV in months when he would eventually go on and defeat Matt Taven. But it's just crazy that we have been talking about Ring of Honor since Supercard. We thought, okay, we have a new champion. Things are probably going to change. And sadly, it seems like they haven't. It's always been the Athena and Billy Stark show, and nothing's really changed from that. Maybe a little bit of the tag stuff, obviously, with you have Dustin Rhodes, who's a double tag team champion, not only with Sammy Guevara, but with Von Erichs as well. So thinking about all the different implications kind of how we can reinvigorate the Ring of Honor product, maybe a new champion can do that, especially if we're going to have someone that calls themselves the Learning Tree going to what has effectively become their developmental. Whether it's been intended to or not remains to be seen, but it's just a byproduct of having only 5 hours of actual television for AEW and already having 9 championships with a lot of other storylines in between that you're trying to focus on. So, I mean, we will find out on Saturday. That's the note that I'm going to leave that one on, but maybe a match that I think is going to be a lot more exciting on Saturday just by the nature of the action. We have a 2 out of 3 falls match between Hologram, who's been really gone rampant since he debuted over the summer in Collision. Just an incredible talent. We really don't know too much about him, going against Beast Mordo, someone that we've seen in many different forms. Black Ruse, obviously, what he was before. Just, I feel like this is going to be a really good match, really good back and forth lucha action. We're going to see some strength stuff. We're going to see a lot of high flying stuff. And I'm very curious to see if they're going to try to have someone go 2 straight falls, if we're going to see that really best 2 out of 3 for this one. Emily, why don't you start on this one?
Yeah, I mean, 2 out of 3 falls matches are always interesting because you have to strategize, right? Like it's a strategy game as much as like a mentical. What's mentical? I just came up with a new word. Wow.
Yep. Make sure you guys, you're talking about this, not only hashtag Micah this time, but hashtag mentical.
Mentical. I meant to say mental and physical, and then I just combined it because
I mean, we love a portmanteau on this show.
I'm so cool. I invent my own words.
Can confirm.
Can confirm. But I don't know about you, but I've really enjoyed Hologram and kind of the addition of his type of wrestling into AEW. And so I kind of want him to get this, right? I think it's a big moment, right? Like Tony Khan's really excited. I lost my train of thought because I'm inventing words here.
It's going to be a great match, as Tony Khan would say.
This could be mentical.
It's going to be mentical.
Yes.
It's going to be a spectacle.
But I'm interested about how they like manage this because these can go being really intense, and you have to like have your offense really strong right off the bat because you need to get those falls first. So that's what I'm thinking. It could be pretty complicated.
Yeah, I feel like the pacing's going to be interesting because, I mean, are you going to try to go for a quick roll-up? Or are you just going to try to go balls to the wall, pin someone, but try to do something that's so strong that it keeps them down? So once the time resets, if they do the 60-second thing, it's just another quick pin to try to take it home that easily, or if they're going to try to really have it be a battle of attrition. I mean, we have a lot of good high flyers right now in AEW. I mean, obviously with Ricochet coming over at All In, we will talk about Ricochet in a few moments, but I mean, there's really not been a bad time to be a high flyer in AEW ever, but it seems like especially now things are looking very promising. I think we might get it 2-1 in Hologram's favor personally. I feel like it'll be a good way to not only showcase the stuff that he's been able to do, but also really show that Beast Mordo's, even though he's been a lot on ROH, he's still very much a good contributor to AEW. And I think even in defeat, he's going to look amazing in this one. Ella, what are you thinking?
I think Hologram's 15-0. So I think that kind of speaks for itself. But I do think
Hey,
this
throwing out those stats.
I think this could be honestly dark match or dark horse match of the night. Like, I don't think this is one that people are really like, it's not the main selling point, but both are phenomenal in-ring performers. And again, it's going to be that mix of high. I mean, Mortos can do some cool flying stuff too, though. But it's going to be that mix of that strength versus that high flying nature. So kind of to see those blend of styles is going to be, as Emily would say, mentical. But for Simply Hologram's undefeated record, I foresee him walking away. It'll probably be 2-1. You know, you'll give Mortos a bone. You know, he'll get like one roll.
You have to get one, right?
Yeah.
You technically could get disqualified as a fall too as well.
This is true. I mean, but you also think about But you do also think about the fact that technically, if it's 2 out of 3 falls, not only can Hologram get pinned, but he can still walk out technically undefeated.
Yes.
So it's a way to not only protect his stats, but also show like, okay, he's human. Like at some point, he is going to stay down for 3. We promise.
Yeah. But what I'm also intrigued about is like the stats, like the percentages, right? Ella, you said 15.
I think he's 15-0. Yeah.
15-0, right? So like this is kind of like, this is like 3 matches in one, right? So the percentage of like who might win goes up. I think if you get the first pinfall, the percentage of you getting the next one is really likely. So
I was scared you were going to pull out Scott Steiner.
Yeah, I was going to say, normally in a match, we have a 50-50 chance.
I'm doing it all tonight for you guys. So that's a
woman of many talents.
Yeah. So so it's like the baseball season. My baseball season brain is on.
Oh yeah, that's a lot of numbers
where,
right there.
like you have five games. The percentage of if you win the first 2, you're more likely to go to.
Of course.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, we also have another match where it's going to be a lot of high flying versus a lot of strength. We have Darby Allin going to be challenging Brody King of the House of Black. I mean, it's kind of crazy seeing like so much going on with Darby over the last few months. I mean, he wins that World Championship match to lose the opportunity at the World Championship to Jon Moxley at Grand Slam, which is kind of, what the hell are we doing with Darby per se? I mean, in storyline, I understand why Moxley ended up challenging, which we will talk about at the end, obviously, because that's going to be main event. But I'm very curious because this is a Darby that's had a very roller coaster 2024. I mean, you talk about the highs of highs, having that banger match with Sting in his retirement match back at Revolution, to him shattering his ankle and not being able to climb Mount Everest, and then getting hit by a bus, and then like trying to rebuild and bounce back. He had the TNT Championship. It's been such a crazy topsy-turvy year for Darby. That's kind of like what's going to be next for him, especially as we get ready to close out the year. Whereas you have Brody King, where House of Black has had kind of stop and go stuff when it comes to the Trios Championship. Obviously, we have seen the Acclaimed Daddy Ass hold those titles. We're now seeing so much other stuff going on with the Trios division with the Patriarchy. It's just and obviously BCC holding the titles now. A divided BCC, which we will get into as well, but I don't know. This one, I feel like Darby kind of needs to get some momentum back for certain. I would be genuinely shocked if Brody King won, and that's not anything against Brody King. He's a phenomenal wrestler. Getting to see him live at one of my first independent shows, I've always seen like great things for him. It's great that he's on a pay-per-view match with someone that's held so highly like a Darby Allin, but it's really Darby's match to lose, I think, personally. Ella, what are you thinking?
Yeah, Darby lost a TNT title match. Then he lost his AEW world title shot. So yes, this is going to be the place. And also it's Darby's home state of Washington. So if somebody else isn't going to win in their home state of Washington, I think Darby Allin is. Little spoiler alert. Yeah, I think this is the way to bounce him back, not only from those 2 major losses, but also you're in his home state. So,
I mean, we've seen people lose before.
There is other people from Washington though that I think are going to lose. So
I mean, I agree with you, Ella, that I think Darby needs this. Like it's been such a tumultuous year. Like
Yeah.
Jose, I forgot that he got hit by a bus. Like I know it happened. I know it was all over
He
the
also broke
news.
his leg, or
And he
what
broke
was
his
it?
leg.
Yeah.
Well, I think he broke his leg, and while he was recovering from the leg, he
Yes.
got hit by the
He
bus.
got
Hit by
hit
a
by a
bus.
bus,
And it
yeah.
was like it's like a soap opera, right? And like wrestling's already a soap opera, and then his real life is a soap opera.
Yeah.
And so he needs this confidence boost. He needs to
Mhm.
go in here. He needs to get this win on a big pay-per-view. And he needs to, like you said, get that momentum back. Because I feel like his confidence is shot. And he just needs this win going into the new year.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I mean, we've also seen like a lot of like people like speculating about where people can end up. Obviously, like contract news, Darby's not one that's up anytime soon from what we can tell. But I mean, knowing that there is plenty of opportunities to be had elsewhere and kind of the way he's been floundered, for the better way to say it, since the spring, it's just kind of, is he going to be there much longer if they continue this kind of booking, or is it indicative that maybe he might end up somewhere else, somewhere with people he knows and loves? But I mean, speaking of things that we know and love, I don't know about you guys, but I love me a good three-way match. And considering the fact that we have two very, very talented competitors that we just saw recently in Dynamite 5 tear it up in the ring, and you also add in Konosuke Takeshita, I mean, the International Championship has been really feeling like a true workhorse title. I mean, you have Will Ospreay defending it against Ricochet and Takeshita. I'm very excited to see how this match is going to be a little bit different than what we saw in Dynamite, just with the added element of Takeshita. Ellen, let's go with you. What are you thinking?
Well, Osprey's first reign with the title was what, less than 2 months, month and a half, maybe.
Yeah.
And he's only had this title for, again, a month and a half.
Mhm.
So I don't think he's gonna be losing it. I unfortunately, I mean, I love Takeshita. I would love it if he won, but I think he's just kind of there so Ricochet doesn't get pinned personally. I think it's too soon for Ospreay to lose it, considering his first reign was also short, and MJF's reign was only like 39 days or something like that. So the international championship, let somebody have another like a long reign, like Orange Cassidy did. Doesn't need to be. I think Orange Cassidy's reign was like 10 months or something. Doesn't need to be 10 months, but like, don't have it be a month and a half, like 45 days. Let him like ride through the end of the year, or maybe at least till World's End. But I think regardless, this also could be, might be match of the night. Going in, I think people are in-ring quality wise are probably thinking this is probably going to be match of the night, or at least the most exciting and high flying. But I think Ospreay is retaining, and he's probably pinning Takeshita.
Emily, what are you thinking?
Oh, bold predictions, Ella. I agree that I think it is a little too soon to take the title off Ospreay. I think the surprise win would be Ricochet, because I think as we watch AEW, we're wondering where Ricochet will kind of be in title contention right away. Like, is he going to be given a championship right away? This might be the opportunity to do that. So my instinct, and kind of from analyzing and watching it, I think Ospreay would get it, but also I wouldn't be surprised if Ricochet won the championship and then had a reign with it. But I think you're right, Ella, in the sense of it's going to be a super competitive match from all three, and this could potentially be match of the night. Depending on where it's placed in the order of the show, like, because it is going to have to have a lot of energy.
I think it should open personally.
Yeah, it could open. Do they usually open with like I'm trying to remember some of their pay-per-views.
There's a bunch of title matches on the cards.
Yeah, there are a lot. So like they might have to open with a title match. Sometimes
Yeah.
they don't like to. You got to warm up the crowd a little bit. But it will be interesting kind of where this is, and that might be a tell of what might happen, depending on the order. But that's my predictions. Is I think it's between Ricochet and Ospreay. It's going to be a hell of a match, and I'm excited for it. But I think there could be some surprises in there.
Yeah, I mean, the ongoing thing that I've noticed with Will Ospreay is that they keep going back and forth about the whole Tiger Driver 97 and like how he like wants to use it, but he's so conflicted. And we've seen what happens when he doesn't get a chance to use it. It ends up being his foil. I feel like if anything, maybe having an old adversary like Ricochet come back to AEW, them having that match at Dynamite, and like maybe even an upset win where Ricochet wins the title without Ospreay being involved in the decision. Maybe that's what gets him back with that killer instinct, because we saw for the longest on Cal's trying to beat it back into him, and it's just not something that has really been afforded to him, especially now that you have Takeshita going in and going after that championship as well. I feel like if anything, Takeshita unfortunately probably going to be the one taking the pin in this match, but I think I'm going to be bold and I'm going to say and new international champion in Ricochet, and then we start to see the downfall and the gears start changing for Will Ospreay. So
Possible.
Yeah, it could be show opener. I feel like it's probably most likely to be a show opener. I mean, we saw it open the title, that championship opened the show at All In, and how hot the crowd was for MJF and Ospreay. I'm sure a crowd like this one in Tacoma is not going to be any different as well. But, I mean, we also have some other exciting matches. One that's going to be more exciting, I would say more character-wise than anything, we have Mansoor. We have Mason Madden going against the Acclaimed. I mean, you talk about camp, you talk about, I don't want to say comedy, but you talk about very entertaining presence when it comes to wrestling. I mean, MXM Collection has been gold since they've been gone from WWE. Just wherever they've ended up, they've been phenomenal. We've seen them do Big Gay Brunch against Pussy. We've got to see them do stuff in Ring of Honor as well. This one's going to be a fun match. It would be really nice to see MXM get the win here. Whether or not they do, probably not. Unfortunately, it's probably looking like the Acclaim's trying to get their thunder back after Blood and Guts. But I mean, I would personally love to see MXM win. I'm going to say the Acclaim's going to win just because it seems like they need the win a little bit more. But I'm going to be thoroughly entertained. I can't wait to see what bad rapping Max Caster is going to have to say about MXM, and how Mason Madden's going to try to draw attention to his derriere, as he always does. But we shall see. Emily, let's start with you on this one.
Oh my goodness. This is a tough one. I think you're right. It will be very entertaining. But I think I do have to go with I'm gonna go with Mansoor and Madden. I think this is an appearance and a match that they could really like kind of get out of kind of their normal kind of everyday weekly thing, right? Like this is their chance. It's gonna be crazy. But yeah, I'm going with them. That's where I'm leaning.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy either way, honestly. I feel like MXM winning would be really fun to see where they end up in the tag title picture, to be certain. Ella, what are you thinking?
I have the Acclaimed because I feel like at this point, granted, it could be like a swerve, it could be a surprise,
No.
But I think the Acclaimed are more high profile. MXM we've really only seen on Ring of Honor, and like this match gets set up on Rampage. Spoiler alert. We haven't really seen them on the main MXM specifically. We really haven't seen them on the main stages of AEW. Whereas the Acclaimed are multi-time tag team champions, and have been there since pretty much the beginning of AEW. They've been there for most of the years. So I have to go with the veterans, the Acclaimed, the more high profile, I think, in a grand scale in AEW lore anyways. But I would absolutely love like an underdog victory, if MXM were to win, that surprise upset. I wouldn't be mad at that at all. But I have to go with the Acclaimed.
Because sometimes you gotta go with the one that like you don't think is gonna win, and like that's sometimes like
I know,
but I get, Ellie, you're thinking from like a from a stats perspective, you're like
mental,
the scale,
mental. No, just mental, not physical, just mental this time.
Oh. But something that might make you go mental. I mean, we do have a singles match, grudge match, if you will. we have Hangman Adam Page going against Switchblade Jay White.
This is the hardest one.
Oh,
This was the hardest one of the entire card for me.
Yeah, I feel like this one, it can truly go either way. I know who I would like to win. Do I think they're going to? Probably not, which is a little disappointing. But Ella, we will start with you. Go ahead.
I could see Hangman like being so mad and getting himself disqualified. Like I can see him just going off the rails because there's no stipulation attached to this, right? It's just a straight up singles match. So like Hangman could easily get himself disqualified. Or he could win and then just deliver a really bad post-match beatdown to Jay White, which I think I have to go with Hangman on this one because before he won and beat Swerve, he hadn't been doing too hot in like the big matches. I think it's time for him to like get back on his feet. He got the win over Swerve. Now he needs to continue this momentum, and if he's trying to get back to the world championship picture, like beating Jay White would be the way to go. I think they'll maybe pull I guess a reverse MJF and Daniel Garcia. Oh, no, it wouldn't be reverse. I think Hangman's going to win, and then he's going to beat down Jay White, like, really badly after the match. But Juice Robinson could also come in and do something. I don't know. Hangman, he needs to stay on this momentum. I'm going to go with Hangman. But this is the match I'm the most unsure of out of all of them.
Ella, I'm predicting Jay White's going to win and then bring his crew, and then they're going to beat up Hangman backstage. Or even in the ring, both.
Finally, yeah, because Hangman's been beating everybody else up. Or Hangman goes to
and Jay White's bringing back up, and Jay White's going to take him out, and the locker room will celebrate because they took out the guy that's
possible. I mean, Hangman could start to beat up Jay, and then all of Jay's crew comes down and saves him. It's also another. I feel like we're gonna have some post. Like this is the match that it makes the most sense to have like some post match beatdown thing, because Hangman is just filled with rage, and he's been beating up everybody.
Maybe Jay White burns houses down.
Maybe. I mean, their beef is kind of renewed. It's not as personal as Swerve Strickland. So I don't think we're at that level yet.
I don't know. You never know. World's End. We're going to get to World's End.
It
feels kind of World's Endy right now, but we're going to get there.
No, and then on top of that.
Opposite of Ella. That's my prediction.
Well, I mean, you also have to think about the fact that we're also in Swerve territory because he's a Washington native as well. I don't think he's going to appear. I feel like All Out was truly the end, at least for a long time.
They announced he's appearing, though.
But if he appears during or after this match, all hell's going to break loose. Because, I mean, I don't know how...
It's probably going to be Bobby Lashley and Swerve Strickland. If you haven't watched the MVP and Prince Nana stuff, from what I'm hearing,
are we thinking that Swerve's going to sign with the Hurt Syndicate?
No, like they'd be against each other, is what I'm... context because I'm gathering. It'd be Bobby and Swerve Strickland would be the program. But who's to say he could first get revenge on Hangman and then move into that?
I mean, at this point, if he tries to get revenge on Hangman, it's going to just keep adding onto the story because you think Hangman's just going to take it and be like, okay, I'm done.
No.
So, I mean, that had a sense of finality that I think they would be fools if they tried to dig that back up already. I do think that we're going to see where Hangman tries to attack all the different members of Bullet Club Gold again before this match. And I think we're going to get an upset win for Jay White just because it's not something that people are expecting. It doesn't even have to be clean. It could be a damn roll up at this point. I really don't care. But I feel like you kind of need to have like that one little bit of comeuppance and then you could let Hangman do whatever the hell he wants after the match and just go ballistic. And I think there's more in the post match than there's going to be in the actual result of the match. So I'm going to say Jay White on this one.
Yay.
Yeah. Sorry, Ella. I know that's your man's.
I know, but like I said, this was the one that that I could actually see it going either way for the win. I feel like afterwards, it's pretty much guaranteed you're going to get chaos. It's just which way will that chaos swing?
Yep. And in the background, you'll hear My Kink is Karma by Chapel Roan because we're all trying to push the Chapel Roan Hangman agenda as you should. Yes. most definitely. I mean, other agendas being pushed is what's going on with the TNT Championship. We have scapegoat Jack Perry defending against Katsuyori Shibata. I mean, this past week on Dynamite, we did see Shibata backstage talking with Daniel Garcia after he confirmed that he's staying with AEW, mentioning that he's going to win that TNT Championship and then he's going to be open for a challenge. When you have Daniel Garcia talking about like how this time's going to be different, he wants gold. The fact that he's staying there, I feel like this time we're actually going to see him get gold. And I feel like a match with Shibata and Garcia is probably be a little bit more entertaining than one with Jack Perry and Garcia. That's just my taste personally. And also, I feel like if you're going to have the Elite win one match tonight, which we will get into after this, I feel like the safe championship to have change hands. Just because at this point, I don't know what else you could really do with Jack Perry as the TNT champion. I'm going to say, and new TNT champion Katsuyori Shibata. Emily, what are you thinking?
I think Jack Perry's going to retain. I don't think it's going to change hands this weekend. I feel like Jack Perry has also had like kind of a resurgence of what he's been able to do at AEW, and has this momentum. And so I think it would be really strange to have a change of the title.
He's also coming off a loss at All Out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm still thinking about that coffin match he had it All In, though. I mean, we talk about against Darby Allin, someone who's had a very tumultuous year. I mean, maybe this could be the thing that kind of is causing a divide with the Elite. I mean, conspicuously left off the card is the Continental Champion, Katsuhiro Okada. I mean, maybe that could be something where you see Jack Perry really trying to get in his own head, try to show he is a serious threat and a contender. Whether it's going to be him venturing off on his own as a wild card, which I think there might be more money in than him kind of being like a token for the Bucks and Okada right now, just with everything that's been going on. I don't know. I'm still going to say a new. Ella, what are you thinking?
I do agree that if you're going to have anybody from the Elite lose at WrestleDream, it would be Jack Perry. But, you know, Emily was mentioning World's End being kind of like a symbolic thing to put things to an end. I would say that the Elite blowing up, coming to an end, at least losing their titles, would be more appropriate for World's End. Personally, I feel like that's kind of symbolic, you know, AEW, like a Christopher Daniels, Tony Khan taking back the power from the Elite to have, or maybe even Kenny Omega comes back by then and takes the power back. I feel like that's the pay-per-view to do it on, to take down the Elite and lose other titles there. So for that, I also have Jack Perry retaining here for the story of the Elite to continue. But if you were wanting to shake things up and have anybody from the Elite lose, it would be Jack Perry here. But I think overall the story is going to continue probably to World's End.
The only reason why I don't think the World's End is going to be the end of the Elite is because you also have coming up in January Wrestle Dynasty, that huge show in Japan where you're going to have New Japan, AEW, and CMLL. I feel like if anything, that's where the Bucks are going to lose in the Tokyo Dome, having that huge moment there. Because when was the last time you saw the Bucks in the Tokyo Dome? My point.
It's been a while.
You could still have an Omega match there.
Kenny's been there. Kenny's been in Tokyo Dome. That would be a place for him to come back. Absolutely.
Well, also, so I was going to allude to that, is that we have Wrestle Dynasty, which is going to have five organizations together. And I think from now through World's End and then Wrestle Dynasty, there's going to be kind of a shift in these alliances and a shift, you know, you're going to have groups break up. You're going to have people see who they want to pair up with to kind of make this stronger, to like either become champion, to become the people in charge. This is where people start thinking about what to do next. But I think it could, I mean, I know I'm leaning towards Jack Perry, but I think with Shibata involved as well, Shibata has a history with some of these players. So that could lead to some interesting stories down the line, especially with Wrestle Dynasty back at in Tokyo.
Yeah, now I will say the big thing with Russell Dynasty, just doing a little research, it is only one night. And
Yep.
if we're going to talk about having presence from Ring of Honor, from Stardom, New Japan, CMLL, and AEW, that card is going to be congested. So it's really going to be about how they decide to get those representation in there, what championships are going to be on the line, if they're on the line, what cross-promotional matches you're going to have, if they're going to have any, if you even do anything where it's going to be solely one company's match. There's a lot that's going
Will
on.
Ospreay would be a big contender for AEW, especially if he still has the international championship at that point and his ties to New Japan. So,
I mean, that is a good point. I mean, we also have the global champion still, David Finlay. I mean, there's a lot.
Okada as well, obviously.
And Okada
Yeah.
and Jay White and
Mhm.
all of these.
There's so much history.
There's many
Yeah.
that have experience.
Gosh, there's a lot going on because I always feel like I don't see necessarily wrestling by a calendar year, so that's why I'm kind of hesitant to say the World's End is the end. I was thinking that All Out is the end because that's usually going to be the capstone where we really wrap up everything for that wrestling year, because you're talking about two events that are going to be the culminations. You have your big stadium show and the follow-up show back at home, so that's going to be kind of where I see the AEW year starting, is after All Out. But who knows at this point? We have a lot going on, and not to be outdone by one member of the Elite, we have two defending their tag team championships against Private Party, the Young Bucks. We did see Stokely Hathaway backstage on Dynamite talking to Private Party, kind of trying to hype them up, saying like, hey, you guys have been very good competitors for so long. We've seen you as like staples here since like 2020, just kind of missing that one thing to push you guys over the edge. And he thinks it's him. I mean, we have seen the stuff that Stokely's been able to do with the likes of Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale. And obviously, we've gotten to see so many different iterations of what Private Party's been doing, whether it was alongside the Hardys at one point, whether it was in other stables, just kind of being part of everything going on. I'm very curious to see how they try to build Private Party in this match, because I could also totally see them getting squashed, honestly, because I mean, you think about it being the Bucks, unless they actually want to really try to like build up Private Party, I could totally see this being a match where like they're just like, no, we want them to have an easy match on the card, get it like really good cheap heat, have them bury Private Party, which I'm very afraid they could do. I don't think any of us are going to disagree with, and still tag team champions, the Young Bucks.
No, that's my fear too, is that they'll either they won't get squashed, or they'll lose and then just disappear off of programming like a Sunny Kiss did, like, you know, and just be back in the background. You know, they'll have this like one or two moments, but then they're back to, you know, square one and not being utilized, at least on the main platforms. I'm glad they're getting this opportunity. Obviously, WrestleDream is a big stage for them. I would love to be wrong and be surprised by it. But I don't see the Young Bucks losing to Private Party, unfortunately. Yeah. I fear Private Party's fate after this.
Yeah, I kind of agree, Ella. I really don't see the Young Bucks losing. They're just too interwoven into the tag team division and everything that they're doing in AEW. Yeah. It just doesn't, again, unless it's like a huge upset win from Private Party, and it's just like shocks the world, something shocking, unbelievably, you know, shocking happens. But I don't necessarily see that happening here, because I feel like there's some other higher profile or God, I can't talk.
Profile.
It is late at night on a Wednesday when we're recording.
Oh my
this
goodness,
so bear with us. Some of us have had 12-hour days already.
I'm a professional, I swear. But I think there's other big changes that might happen, but I think this one needs to stay the same. Sometimes you need your constant, and this is the constant.
Speaking of constants.
No, if this one is not a squash match, then it'll be at least a good showcase, because you think about a team that can do all the same high-flying and athletic stuff as the Bucks, it is Private Party. Whether or not they're going to get booked to actually do that is another thing, but I'm going to try not to be cynical for the rest of the card, because we have our...
jaded.
No, that's
don't be cynical. Don't be jaded.
That's on WWE. We can't say that no more. Let's see. But what we can say is we have the former TBS champion, the former CMLL world champion, Willow Nightingale, challenging the Glamour Mariah May for the AEW Women's World title. We did see her on Dynamite defeat 3 former champions in a 4-way match. We also got to see the return of Penelope Ford in that match going after Jamie Hayter. So I am very excited for this one. We've gotten to see Willow and Mariah go back and forth a few weeks over Collision and everything, really trying to build up Willow for that next level with a world title match. We've really seen some momentum here and there with her, like obviously since she lost the TBS title to Mercedes Moné, but really trying to focus on being back on her own now that she's done with everything with Chris Statlander after that really, really good street fight they had it all out. I mean, we're finally seeing a side of Willow that has a little bit more of a killer instinct, that's like not always going to be the happiest person, but still has that fighting spirit they can't help but to root for. I would be extremely shocked if Mariah loses the title this soon, especially because it's her first pay-per-view defense of the championship. But I mean, we also have the layers of Mina Shirakawa and Toni Storm having recently teamed up in Stardom together. So, I mean, we have 2 former associates of hers, one that's now her sworn enemy and one that she was almost in a lesbian relationship with, it felt like at times with Mina. So I feel like if anything, we're going to either see a return of Toni Storm after this match, or we're going to finally see where things could potentially play out with Mina Shirakawa. But it is far too soon to say anything but, and still Women's World Champion, the Glamour Mariah May. Emily, what are you thinking?
Okay, so I have some theories. By the way, I love what Willow Nightingale did this week. I think she's bringing out, she is like one of the best baby faces in wrestling, but she's, like you said, Jose, you kind of alluded to it, that there's this edge, this attitude that is like, she's still a pure baby face, but she has this edge, this edginess to her that, and this little attitude that like is bubbly at the same time. And I love it. And I love what she did this week. So with kind of her facing Willow, facing Mariah for the championship, I think it is too soon for Mariah to lose the title. But I think there is going to be a moment of sports womanship at the end of this match, and they're going to come together. So I think they're going to come together.
That I think would be a bigger shock than Willow beating Mariah would be if Mariah May actually like speaks her does a sportsmanship.
Well, or something alluding to like them teaming up, and then they team up, and leading into Wrestle Dynasty, it's gonna be Mariah May and Willow Nightingale versus Mina and Toni Storm.
I mean, it's lofty. It's still 3 months away. I mean, it's plausible. Nothing's ever impossible in wrestling. And I mean, we've really learned recently nothing's impossible.
Nothing's impossible. No, I mean, I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there as a fun thing to think about. Yeah. But I think there is, I think Mariah's retaining. I think she's still, I mean, she just won it a few months ago. There's still time. She needs to really, have these big pay-per-view matches. And like Ella said, it's her first big one. So.
Yeah, and also, I mean, some of that I didn't even bring up is the fact that this is a rematch from the Owen Hart Cup finals, too. Yeah. So we did see Mariah victorious that night in Calgary as well, and that incredible heel turn. It's going to be interesting to see what Willow's taken away from that match to kind of where they are now, because it still feels like somehow 2 different competitors that we saw just a few short months ago. Ella, what are you thinking?
Same as you guys. Again, it's only been a month and a half, but also, Willow's a trusted veteran in the ring. She's somebody who can make Mariah look good, is a solid performer, very reliable. They can put on a decent, solid match together. As it just comes down to, it's too soon, but you have Willow to be Mariah's first title defense. She's reliable. She can make Mariah look good while also getting some of her own, good stuff in. It still makes me sad, though, that all of Willow's reigns have either been by default, by accident,
Yeah.
or as a transitional champ. And it's like so frustrating. I would love for her to win this and get an actual title reign where it's not either by accident or because of a last minute switch or as a transitional champ. Like, she deserves her flowers. Unfortunately though, like, this is just not the time. She's there because she's a reliable competitor who can make Mariah look good, also get some of her stuff in. But ultimately it's to further Mariah's arc before eventually we finally get back to Tony and Mina at some point.
Yeah. I mean, like, Willow deserves all of the praise, all
I
of the
agree.
titles. Like, she should go after all of them. She has, in the last like 2 years, has shown she can hold any title. She can do it so well. She can fight anyone in any country. And unfortunately, I think it's just like logistically, I think it's just too soon. I mean, we could again have a huge surprise and something happen. Someone comes out, surprises and helps Willow. Who knows? But again, I think Willow, when it is her time to be champion, she wins it clean. There's nothing, like, she just shows
That's what I
power.
hope. Yeah.
And that's my hope. Just the power and just talent that she has. And she is going to show the world. She does that every time she's in the ring and comes out. And everyone supports her. Like, there's such a huge crowd reaction to her, that she's over when she doesn't even win the match. And that is so telling of what a star can do in the ring. So I think it's going to be an incredible match. But I think it is Willow's time. Like, she really should have her moment to shine.
Yeah, I fully agree. I feel like it's only a matter of time before she does get that world championship. I feel like it should be in the next year, for being honest, because I mean, we think about All In being in Arlington, Texas next year. We have a dream match that could be happening too, but also just kind of thinking about, like, Willow eventually has to get her just dues. I mean, she's been a good hand for so long. It's only a matter of time before she gets that big showcase and that proper championship reign. Which brings us to our main event of WrestleDream. We have, for the AEW World Championship, Jon Moxley is going to be challenging his former BCC clanmate in the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. And what a lot of us are presuming is probably going to be his last full-time match. I mean, the writing's kind of on the wall for this one. Obviously, he did say, like, after this year, he was going to retire from being a full-time competitor. A lot of people thought it was going to happen at All In, but by the grace of him having his family at ringside really firing him up, we got to see that huge moment for Bryan Danielson finally winning the AEW World Championship. And shortly after that, we got to see him suffocated by Jon Moxley with a plastic bag. So, I mean, just, a normal Wednesday. What can I say? But I don't want to be the guy that says and new, but it's looking like Jon Moxley is going to win the world championship back, and we're going to see the American Dragon probably ride off to the sunset in his home state. Ella, go ahead.
There's one of two scenarios, but both of them involve Bryan Danielson not walking out of WrestleDream with the championship. From what I understand, Jon Moxley may be Bryan Danielson's hand-picked opponent for his final full-time match. That means he could be winning. Or Danielson could retain, and then Christian Cage comes in and then cashes in his title shot. That it's in my mind, I don't see Bryan Danielson walking out of his home state, out of WrestleDream with the AEW World Championship. I just don't. So it's either going to be Christian Cage or it's going to be Jon Moxley. I personally think if Danielson picked Moxley, then Moxley's gonna win. But also, like, it's his fourth reign already, Part of me wants Danielson to win and then Christian because at least then Danielson will get that one moment, he beat Moxley, and then it just so happens, that Christian Cage comes rushing in. I think that would make people more mad, and I'm here for it. I'm here for Christian Cage riling up the people. But I think it's gonna be Jon Moxley personally. But personally, I would rather it be Christian Cage, but I think it's going to be Jon Moxley, his fourth reign, the beginning of.
I mean, we've seen Christian Cage kind of teasing this, cash in, right? Cash in his contract. trying to decide or, when it's going to happen. So, Ella, I was thinking that it would happen similar to how you're thinking. I think it would be super emotional for Danielson to lose it in his hometown, but he can lose it on his own terms with the opponent that he wants.
Mhm.
So that can work. But say he does lose, he doesn't retain, Moxley wins, and then Christian cashes it.
That's a lot.
I don't think you have a heel cash in on a heel.
Yeah.
Why not? You're already Moxley. These matches are crazy. You're bleeding. He's already in the corner. You could have a heel cash in on a heel.
I'm not saying it wouldn't be believable because
The emotion
Moxley
of it, the frustration of it,
Mhm.
it
But
adds,
do you-
it boils. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, but do you have the BCC feud with the patriarchy already? Because I mean, you also have the X factor of you have two members of the BCC on the same page with the trios championship, and then you have one that's kind of doing fuck whatever.
Well, they're going to be feuding anyway because
Yeah.
Christian's going to continue, even if he doesn't cash in, he's going to continue to tease cashing in on Moxley. Then,
Yeah. So he's just gonna so Christian's always gonna be, if he still has that contract by Saturday night, he's gonna always be in the corner watching. He's gonna be sneaking around.
I don't foresee him having it for like a 6 month. I foresee him cashing in definitely by the end of the year. I don't foresee it being like a long, like a whole year thing. He wants the championship gold. He's gonna seize the opportunity soon. It could be
and it has to be opportunistic unless
makes it a triple threat.
No, unless when he goes to finally cash it in, that's when we see the return of Adam Copeland.
I mean, I'm cool.
It probably isn't going to be anytime soon. Obviously, very serious stuff.
Yeah.
Weather going on. Obviously, Asheville, North Carolina got hit horrendously by Hurricane Helene. And as we're talking, Hurricane Milton's on their way to Florida. Thinking about everybody in those paths, obviously a scary time for any sort of weather event. But I mean, I don't think the crowd goes home happy, regardless of how we're thinking this.
I don't foresee Danielson walking out with the title.
I mean, you realize how emotional this is going to be? Like, this is his last.
He'll get one last moment. I mean, full time. Obviously, it might not be his last time wrestling in Washington, but on a full time status, yes. If he's going to go out, he's going to go out in his home state. That would be the way to go. It's just whether it's Moxley or Christian of who actually walks out.
I have an idea.
Okay.
Ideas?
I'm 99.9% certain that Marina Shafir is going to be in the corner of one John Moxley. What are the odds that we see Brie Garcia get physical?
Possible. She hops the barricade.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be like her coming in for a run, but like let her get physical, try to scrap it up with Marina. Maybe something happened and say Moxley season hits Brie with a paradigm shift. And that's where things start to really go emotional, where Brian's just seeing red, and that's where he loses sight of the championship because he's blinded by rage. And that's what leads to an even more emotional, decisive victory for John Moxley.
Oh, there's so many scenarios.
I just feel confident in saying Bryan Danielson will not be walking out with the title.
I can boldly predict, but it's how.
Yeah.
But if
I'm going for Moxley personally. Go ahead, though.
No, but what if it's the opposite? What if Danielson walks away?
He needs to have surgery. He's getting surgery soon. He needs, neck or I think it's neck surgery. He's going to be having surgery soon. He needs the surgery. So if he's going to go out, it's going to be in his home state.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see him going to a full gear or World's End at this point. I feel like if there was ever a place for him to close this chapter, it's got to be when he's actually in Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I mean, but God, what a jam-packed show we're going to have on Saturday. I mean, I feel like as dense as this card is, it's probably
there'll be more added to the 0 hour for sure by the time this comes out.
That we won't even know about because they usually add it to the 0 hour on the 0 hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, for any match changes, RJ City, Renee Paquette, Jeff Jarrett, they got you on the cover. But in the meantime, Emily May, you are a very busy woman. Where can people find you?
Oh my goodness. Well, follow me right there, Emily May Heller, on all social platforms. I got a lot of shows coming up, a lot of travel, a lot of adventures. So go follow me there and go support. I appreciate it.
LJ, I mean, equally as busy. I mean, you have so much going on these next few months. I mean, anything that you can share so far?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter. Like it's Twitter and Instagram actually at it's Ella J. All my links to my projects, podcasts, and writing are all in one place, including my Amazon wish list because my birthday is later this month. If you want to get me a gift, shameless plug.
Yeah, I mean, I'm clearly the gift. I'm the present. I mean, you grace me with your presence. I think that's a gift-giving exchange.
Aw.
Come on.
I'm giving a gift for my
Nice.
own birthday. I'm kidding.
No, you hooked me up for mine. I have to hook you up for
Oh
yours.
my God.
And
Oh,
especially
I have links to my Cameo, so if y'all want like a fun cameo, I do
Mhm.
really good
Mhm.
heel promos. So if you want to send something to like,
If you want to buy a cameo from Emily for my birthday, that'd be great.
yes, do it.
yeah, someone book Emily May to do a dramatic recreation of the Brandy Rhodes open mic night promo and
Oh
send
my
it to Ella for her
God.
birthday.
Oh my goodness, I will do that just for Ella's birthday.
Yes. And of course, I mean, I keep it simple. Jose on the air everywhere. So YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch. Shop Jose in the air. You know, just put one little word, and you can get yourself a nice little coffee mug here. Get yourself a shirt,
Adorable.
hoodies. We have stickers. I mean, all sorts of things. Get yourself a nice water bottle. It doesn't have the logo, so I'm not going to show it right here. But anything that you want to do, it's a busy month. I have some other cool stuff coming down the pipeline that I can't share yet, but trust me, you're gonna like what it is. Jose in the air. Also, gonna say we're trying to grind towards 1,000 followers on Twitter. I'm not gonna say there's a giveaway, but there will be if we hit it. Hopefully, we're gonna say by the end of November. So keep an eye on Twitter. Tell your friends like, hey, he's a good creator. Follow his stuff, but also you might get incentivized if we hit that goal in the next month and a half. So that's all I'm going to say. But like, comment, let me know what you guys are thinking as far as predictions for WrestleDream. We still have 2 more incredible shows coming up. We have the TNA Bound for Glory predictions show with Ed Fries and Asher Pizarro from our local establishment. We also have coming up at the end of the month NXT Halloween Havoc with Low of Wrestling Wind Down. So many fun things happening on the channel, and the only way that you can make sure that you're in the loop is to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell, because who doesn't want to be notified when I'm doing stuff? Because half the time it's a surprise anyway. So really hit that bell. It helps everything. And we will see you guys in the next episode very soon. So take care, everybody.